Welcome. What we wanted to talk about today is the day before Pesach in the afternoon. The day before Pesach in the afternoon is a very unique time. We have a special mitzvah from the Torah that applies only at this time, once a year, and that is the special Pesach sacrifice. The Torah tells us, "V'shachatu osoi kol kahal adas Yisrael ben Rabbi," and they shall perform the Pesach sacrifice the day before Pesach in the afternoon. As the sun goes down, when the temple would stand, each and every year, Jewish people would bring the Pesach sacrifice the day before Pesach. That energy remains with us until today. And customarily, even though today we don't have the temple, we take out time to read about how the Pesach sacrifice was performed in the time of the temple. Why is this sacrifice so special? Why is that the introduction to this wonderful holiday that we have coming up? We have a wonderful holiday full of matzah and wine and charoisis, beautiful things that are going to go on at the Seder. Why the Pesach sacrifice specifically? Why was it one of the first commandments that was given to the Jewish people? God tells us in the Torah, He says, I want you to take this sacrifice and I want you to roast its meat and eat from that meat at the special Seder at night. This is a very important message that really underscores everything we're trying to do in Judaism. Watch this. All the sacrifices that we find talked about in the Torah before the time that the Jewish people went out of Egypt are all the type of sacrifice that's called oila, an uplifted sacrifice, from the Hebrew word oleh. It goes up. The entire sacrifice was taken and totally burnt. Burnt for God. Korban, the word for sacrifice in Hebrew, means we come closer to God. We would come closer to God by taking a sacrifice and burning it totally for Him. Before the Jewish people went out of Egypt, God gave them a very special gift. He said, you know what? I'm going to show you another way how you can be close to me. You don't have to be close to me only by giving up everything that you have, by burning everything just to me. I'm going to show you another way. Here's the way. The Pesach sacrifice is divided into two parts. Yes, you do take certain parts of the animal and burn them on the altar. Burn them as a sacrifice to me, says God. But the other parts, you know what you need to do with that animal? I want you to roast it. Totally. You take the entire animal and you roast it so that it has a good scent and a good taste and delicious flavor. And then you wait until the night of the Seder. And the night of the Seder, I want you to eat it. But I want you to eat it in a certain prescribed way. I want to make sure, says God, that you enjoy this meat. That you really favor it. That you savor it. That you enjoy it. Don't eat it hungrily. Don't come the night of Pesach and be so hungry and just gulp it down. No. First you eat something to break your hunger. Eat it only at the end of the meal. And when you eat it, don't eat it hastily. Don't break bones. Don't move pieces around of the meat hastily. You eat it like a king would eat it. You eat it leaning. You eat it in a kingly fashion. And I want you to enjoy every bite of that special sacrifice. And the question becomes, what's the message that God is telling us over here? We want to come closer to Him. Why shouldn't we have burned the whole thing? Do I need an extra piece of meat that God gives me to eat on the night of Pesach to feel close to Him? What's really going on? And here's the message. God says, you know what? I'm going to teach you a lesson. In order to be religious, You don't have to give up everything that you have for God. You don't have to practice asceticism. You don't have to practice total abstination. What you need to do, and what you can do, is enjoy the world, yet take every enjoyment that you have. Take every savory second of life and connect that to God. Take all those enjoyable experiences that you have and think about God while you experience it. Says God, and you'll be as close to me as if you had given me everything. Before the Jewish people went out of Egypt, the only way that was understood to come close to God was to give up everything. Just burn everything for God in Olah. The gift that God gave the Jewish people when they went out of Egypt, He said, you're already on this level that I can give you what's called a korban shlamim. Korban shlamim. I can give you a sacrifice that not only will you give a portion to me, but a part of it, you'll engage in physical activity. You'll engage in an enjoyment of the world. And through that, you'll have a mitzvah. Through that, you will still connect to me, which is amazing. And so each and every year, when this special time comes around, we get a message that is really there in order to carry us throughout our entire year. Judaism is not only about abstination. It's not only about being separated from all the things in the world. Judaism is about bringing God into our world. We have a beautiful world. We have a world that's full of enjoyments and pleasures, and we love them. And you know what? God tells us when we should have those pleasures. What's the right amount? What's the right time? For example, on Shabbos, a person should have all the permissible pleasures that he can. If done in the right time and the right place, everything in the world can be used for good. What makes it bad or extreme is when we use it not in the right time and not in the right place. It doesn't benefit us. It doesn't really help us to grow as people. But if we do something that's going to help us to grow positively, that's in the right setting and the right prescription, as God has set it for us, then by experiencing that enjoyment, we only come closer to Him. So says God, I want you to take that Pesach sacrifice, and I want you to give me only one portion, a small portion. The rest of it, you make sure to eat. And make that message part of your life. Let it remain with you. Even after Pesach is over, we realize that being religious is not about torturing oneself. It's not about abstaining. It's not about forcing oneself to break. It's about being in life. It's about using our life in the proper prescription, the proper proportion. That will most benefit us. That will be the most healthy and the most beautiful and the most enjoyable. That connects us back to God. And so each and every year, when it comes this special time in the afternoon, the day before Pesach, that realm of time where we would bring the Pesach sacrifice in the time of the temple, from approximately the time of midday, about a half an hour after midday, until the sun goes down, we recall the message of the Korban Pesach. There are some people who have the custom that they try to bake matzahs specifically for the night of the Seder exactly at that time. They do something, they bake the matzahs, and they remember what we used to do when the temple was standing. Now, unfortunately, that we don't have that opportunity today to actually bring the Pesach sacrifice. So, if a person can't make the special matzahs for the mitzvah at night, so what we try to do is to read something, to remind us, to commemorate, to remember those special moments and the special message of the Pesach sacrifice at that time. With all the things that we have to do in the afternoon of Pesach and the afternoon of the day before Pesach, as we're going to go over now, we'll try to remember also to get in touch with that special energy, with that special message. The message that the Korban Pesach holds for us that can carry us throughout the year. To be connected to God just as much through enjoyment of the world as through abstination from what's prohibited. Now we wanted to go over practically some of the things that we have to take care the day before Pesach. In the afternoon, there are so many things to do just to get ready for the Seder. We'll go over some of them so that you can almost make a list. And I hope it will be helpful for you to prepare on the day before Pesach. First thing that's necessary to do is make sure to eat something. Make sure to have a good lunch in the middle of the day. The reason is we have a Seder coming up, a big Seder. Sometimes it takes a number of hours. We want to be fully present at the Seder. We can't do it if we didn't eat the whole day. So make sure to have something good to eat. The reason we're saying specifically by lunch that this is challenging is because lunchtime on the day before Pesach is sort of in a limbo state. It's sort of in between. On one hand, we can't eat any more chametz. The chametz we finished with in the morning. On the other hand, we cannot eat matzah until the evening. And so therefore, a person has to find some sort of product that we can eat and make sure to eat. Don't get so absorbed in the preparations that you totally forget to eat. There are some people who have the custom of eating what's called matzah ashira. It's a matzah product, but it's not exactly like the matzah we eat at night. And so therefore, it would be permissible to eat on the day before Pesach. It's matzah that was not made with flour and water, but rather flour and fruit juice. And if that's your custom, then it's fine. You can eat matzah shira the day before Pesach as long as it's before the 10th hour of the day. 10th hour of the day is approximately 3 p.m., 3 in the afternoon. And the reason we don't eat something more substantial from 3 o'clock onwards is in order to eat the meal of the Seder with full savor. So before the 10th hour of the day, before 3 o'clock, try to have something. Either matzah shira if that's your custom, or some people who have the custom of eating matzah meal products. You can cook the matzah like kneidlach. You can make matzah balls. And if you eat them before the 10th hour, that's totally permissible. For those who don't eat any matzah products at this time, make sure to have some sort of Pesach foods that will give you a little fill. Eggs, fish, meat, vegetables. Make sure to have a good lunch. Afterwards, as the afternoon progresses, we need to actually prepare, technically, for the Seder that's coming up. The first thing that we need to make is the special dish of charoses. The way that the charoses is made, it's the special plate to dip the maror in at the Seder. And so therefore, the way you make the charoses is the following. Take fruits that are compared to the Jewish people. The fruits that are compared to the Jewish people are figs, pomegranates, apples. We also add some nuts, almonds, walnuts, and you try to make it a thick mixture. Add a little red wine. You mix that into a thick mixture, and that reminds us of the difficulty that the Jewish people went through when making the mortar to build the bricks. Afterwards, add some spices. The customary spices to add are cinnamon, ginger, and that's your charoses. Better to make that before the actual Seder time so that it's all ready. Another thing that's necessary to make if the Seder comes out on Shabbos at night, because we don't do these things on Shabbos, is to prepare the salt water. So take water, add a little extra salt so that it has a salty consistency. Also, a second thing to do is make the maror. The way to make the maror, if you're using horseradish, is it needs to be ground. We don't actually grind the maror on Shabbos. So if the Seder comes out Friday night on Shabbos, make sure to grind the horseradish already the day before, the afternoon before. If you're eating for maror lettuce, many people eat romaine lettuce leaves for the maror. Make sure to check the leaves before Shabbos. Check the leaves if they have any bugs. Wash them down that they should be totally insect-free and ready for the night of the Seder. So again, just to go over the basic preparations at this first level for the Seder are: make the charosis. If the Seder is going to be Shabbos night, make salt water, grind the horseradish, or clean the romaine lettuce leaves. The second thing to prepare for the Seder night is choose whatever matzahs and wine you're going to use. If you have hand-baked matzah, the special hand-baked matzah, choose the ones that you want to use for the Seder so she'll be ready. Machine matzah, take out the matzahs that you want to use. They shouldn't be broken or chipped at the edges. Set aside the bottle of wine. And thirdly, the third preparation is just set up the table for the Seder. According to Shulchan Aruch, when a person comes home from shul on the night of Pesach, when we're ready for the Seder, we should try and start immediately. We don't want the small children to fall asleep. So set up the entire table beforehand. Make the place that you're going to sit ready already the day before Pesach in the afternoon. Make your place ready with a pillow to lean or an arm to lean on from the chair so that you can do the Haseba properly on the night of the Seder. Once we do all these preparations, the last thing that we have to do practically the day before Pesach is just to get ready, like for any Shabbos or Yom Tov. We shower, we dress. And as we mentioned in a previous shiur, if you do want to take a haircut or you need to cut your nails, that needs to be done before midday of the day before Pesach. So that needs to be shifted to the morning. Haircuts, cutting nails need all to be completed before midday of the day before Pesach. When it comes that special time in the afternoon, and we're getting ready, we're amidst the preparations, each time a person can reflect back to what a special time this is. In the time of the temple, we would bring the Pesach sacrifice. We'd be able to tap in to that special message that God was sending the Jewish people. If a person goes to shul early, he should try and read something to commemorate that time. He should read about the Pesach sacrifice. And when we read about it, when we remember, we should carry that message with us. What's the message of the Pesach sacrifice? We are now coming into a Yom Tov. We're coming into a holiday that God wants us to enjoy. Judaism is not about suffering. Judaism is not about punishment, and certainly not about punishing yourself. Judaism is about a God who tells us to sit down, and I want you to eat a piece of roasted steak, and through that come close to me. May God help, and we'll be able to prepare properly for Pesach. May we not be confused. May we be able to come to the Seder rested and well prepared to be able to enjoy all of the wonderful bounty, physical and spiritual, that God has in store for us for the night of the Seder. Be able to enjoy the special energy, and especially to get the message that we can carry with us throughout the year of the wonderful religion that God gives us, to be able to relate to the world in a way that, when used in the proper proportion, everything in the world is only positive. It's about enjoying the world, enhancing our experiences, and through that, sensing God's closeness to us. May we merit to carry that message with us from the night of Pesach throughout the entire year.